Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta. Well, India has set a target of record food grain production of over 354 million tons in 25-26, the crop year that will begin in the month of July. This comes after IMD predicted above normal rainfall in most parts of the country in 2025. Meanwhile, the wheat procurement has crossed 29 million tons for the current Rabi market season. This is the highest in 4 years thanks to the bumper production. The government is confident of achieving the target of 33 million tons of wheat procurement. Joining us now to discuss this is Somnath Chatterjee, CPO at ITC Food Division. Mr. Chatterjee, hi, thank you so much for joining in. It has been an interesting year and a very eventful week at that. I know trades of all sectors are finding it quite challenging to go from here. But when it comes to wheat, the government does seem quite confident, one, on the crop and second, on the procurement. What is your sense on that?
Good evening, Manisha ji. Thank you for having me. Indeed, it's been a roller coaster ride for commodities buyers like us. This year, we initially had a fright that it's going to be a early onset of summer, and the period post Diwali is always a worrisome period for the wheat crop because sudden spike in temperatures can impact the crop, but the gods were kind. We got a bumper crop, and as is evident from the government's procurement numbers, we've done 29 million, as you've just pointed out. And yes, I think 31 million is a foregone conclusion. What that means is that after a period of 2 to 3 years, we are now once again going to be quite comfortable in our wheat stock position as a country. There are no thoughts of imports at the moment with this kind of a crop. The government will have enough in its granaries to meet all obligations of PDS and other allocations. There have been some very interesting developments. The government of India, for instance, has just issued 3 to 4 months supply in PDS in view of the border tensions, so that there is no fear in the minds of the public that India is blessed with enough food grains. So that is one of the things which is happening. Also, if we were to speak about India's food security and the quantum of wheat which is available, well, we are at about 31 million. We will be higher than the number which is prescribed for the Food Security Act. Having said that, this number has been arrived at by the 2012 census, and we are overdue a census now, and one is likely to happen perhaps in the next 1 year, where the number required as safety stock is likely to go up. So I think all in all, we are in a comfortable position. The private trade has been able to procure enough wheat. So I think in terms of wheat and rice, India is in a sweet spot.
Ms. Chatterjee, while we are looking at 115 of a target from India government from this year, the next year is even stronger because the government has put those numbers out as well. So 117 million tons for next year. What does it really mean for the trade?
It's good. Consumption has been rising, and as has been evident, whenever there is like in the recent border tensions, one of the big solace for India was the fact that it has this big stock of food grains and other food articles to be able to sustain any issues which come. Okay. We also saw the same thing was a big strength for India during COVID, right? So the fact that we had our granaries full at that point of time really helped millions of our countrymen. Sure. So I think after 2 to 3 years of touch and go crop, of very inflationary wheat prices, we have finally come to a good place. And if the monsoon is kind to us, as it is likely to be, because we hear from our sources within SkyMet and IMD that this is going to this promises to be a above normal monsoon with perhaps 105, 106% of long period average.
Right.
Also, a very decent uh, spatial and temporal distribution of the monsoon. So I think our dams and our water catchment areas should fill up, and that should be great for not only the Kharif crop, but also for the
Oncoming
ensuing Rabi crop.
Well, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So while the supply side situation seems quite well right now, and as you rightly pointed out, import is something that is not on anybody's mind right now. What are the numbers that you're looking at in sense of consumption? Because there's a big a range that the industry really seems to be talking about. Where would you put that one? And as you said that the private trade has been able to acquire quite a bit right now. Are those pipelines quite comfortable as well?
Yes, the private trade pipelines have replenished. For instance, let me give an example. This year, the state of Punjab, which is Punjab and Haryana, in fact, contribute always regularly and the biggest quantity into the FCI procurement campaign. This year, Punjab has actually not really stepped up to the plate in terms of FCI. So the procurement from there is a little lower because there is a lot of private buying which is happening.
Okay.
That's great for the farmers. They're getting their MSP. And all in all, a larger crop, which is more or less all selling at MSP or higher, is great for money to go into the rural economy.
Oh, absolutely.
So I feel that, the private trade is comfortable. This may not be a year of very high inflation in wheat. Maybe people will get their cost of carry. But yeah, we are quite comfortable, and that's great for business. Because very high inflation often tempers demand, and we don't want that.
Absolutely. I also want to talk about when we are talking about all things nice here, and last year it was stock limits, it was disclosures as well. Do you see all of those measures not come in this time and not hamper trade?
Yes, ma'am. We don't see, while the stock declaration part is still on, we are hoping that maybe the government, in view of the comfortable situation, will do away with that as well. But there are no limits in place, and I don't think the government would like to put any limits because the stock positions are very comfortable. This allows us to focus on our main business, right? Rather than keep filling declarations and forms. Ease of doing business will improve. So I would request the government to even do away with this weekly formality, which is there on wheat at the moment.
I also want to talk about consumption one more time, because you talked about that the consumption has been on a rise as well. When it comes to wheat and when it comes to wheat products, have you seen those numbers move? Because wheat products seems to be doing better in sense of growth.
Yes, that's right. Our number for India's wheat consumption is around 98 to 100 million tons. And then, give or take a little bit, it's a large country and the statistics are not very accurate. But we feel that has been, consumption has been growing at about 2.5% per annum. And if indeed the crop is, around 115 million tons this year, then yes, our buffer stocks will build up and the private pipelines will also build up.
Ms. Chatterjee, thank you so much for joining in and taking your time out for CNBC TV18. So all seems good when it comes to wheat as a place, because last 2 years were not so nice. And this year, the numbers are great. Consumption seems well. Government has enough procurement and the private trade also seems to have replenished quite a bit. Well, moving on from wheat, let's shift focus